Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman Miniature Game 3rd edition battle report using the same table layout as last time because it worked out pretty well despite being a very densely packed table. You are actually meant to use a pretty densely packed table for Batman compared to other games, but I was worried it was maybe a little bit too densely packed, but it worked out pretty well, so we're going to try it again. This time in a 350 rep match between Two-Face, Pray for Mojo, and a Joker crew, featuring a miniature that we haven't used on the table yet, I think, but we'll get more into that in a second. So here is our Two-Face crew, a fairly standard Two-Face setup in that most of his funding is gone thanks to the plethora of guns he's allowed to bring. The problem with the Two-Face crew is definitely not his henchmen. He is really good henchmen. So we have Two-Face himself, of course. He is joined by Sugar and Spice. They can both be brought because they have a role that allows it. If you bring one, you can bring the other without them taking up the sidekick slot. And then at the back there we have, I think that's from left to right, that is, I'm cheating, I'm looking over at the cards now. Gangster 1, 6 and 7. 1 and 6 have Tommy guns and 7 has that rifle there. It's very dangerous, but they do also have reload, of course. And then Killer Moth has been brought in as the free agent today. On his own rights, he's pretty good. He brings a relatively easy scoring objective card to the deck as well, which helps. And Two-Face needs all the help he can get to score cards, so that's it. And here is our Joker crew, and although there are quite a few of them, a few members brought today are a little on the weaker side because there's an expensive sidekick and free agent, and one expensive henchman joining today, being led by the Back to Gotham Joker. And then I believe in her debut on the table we have Punchline. This is Joker's current girlfriend in the comics. She's a true psychopath, so we'll see how she does today. Gaggy is also here. He's got the Joker gas upgrade. Gentleman Ghost is the free agent. He'll be going around doing his ghostly things, mostly putting down suspect markers and such. To fill 5 points, we have one of Joker's victims. That's Joker Victim 3, I believe. The new and improved. He's really good now. Borgon the Cursed. He's been given neurotropic drugs to give him fast and dodge, just to speed him up a little bit. Then we have Paramilitary 2 with the machine gun. He's got extra ammo. And then finally, from the Back to Gotham box, the generic thug. I want to say number 3, but I might be wrong. The one with the triple blood chainsaw. If you can actually hit someone with it, it will do a lot of damage, but he's only defense 2 and doesn't have much HP. So we'll see if he can actually get in against someone. I think that was it for upgrades. I feel like I'm forgetting one, but if we have, we'll cover it at deployment. So we are all set up and good to go. The Two-Face crew is to your left and we'll be taking first activation. I think they're one man down on the Joker crew. Did forget that they did actually have one upgrade that there was barely enough room for in the funding. Killer Moth took the bribe upgrade, which gives him Informer, so that's one extra pass on activation. Anyway, there is a phase 1 and a phase 2 card being played, both by the Joker crew. There's no cards being played by Two-Face, but he has selected the good side of the coin to be active. Phase 1, Let's Dance, not super likely to play, but it does kind of protect Joker and Punchline and Gentleman Ghost, I suppose, from getting some of those really nasty guns pointed at them this turn, if nothing else. And their phase 2 is Psychopaths. Punchline has the true Psychopaths rule, so if she does manage to kill somebody, she puts extra markers on this card, so it's easier for her to score, which is just as well, because she's on the thing, so you would think she'd be better at doing it. We can look at who has Audacity. Punchline and Gentleman Ghost down here have Audacity. The Joker himself has Audacity, and then slightly deployed out of deployment is the Paramilitary with Audacity because he has undercover, so he could be up to 8 outside, but he wanted to be behind cover because of all the guns. And then for the Two-Face crew, Sniper up on the roof here, he's got Audacity. Spice and Two-Face have Audacity, and then one of the Tommy gun wielding thugs does too. Killer Moth is over here. He doesn't have Audacity, but he does have a radio built in to his kit. His kit's pretty good, so he will be able to get that free Inspire. And with that, I believe we're ready to start Battle Round 1. So our game today got started down in this bottom corner because Killer Moth was the first activation for the Two-Face crew. He moved up his 8 inches behind the blue van there, and then using that radio I mentioned earlier, he put down a suspect marker and put into play during his turn 2 faces of the coin. So it doesn't score or check to be scored until the end of the turn, but there needs to be an even number of friendly suspects in play. So it doesn't count enemy ones, so Two-Face can have relative control over this, especially in turn 1. The most gentlemanly of ghosts activated first for Joker's crew, and he used his special action to activate Concealment. Incorporeal for him is always on because he's a ghost, which means he has to be in base to base with someone for them to see him. so he's pretty protected against all those guns. He then moved up next to the Batmobile over here, put down a suspect marker, except it is not a suspect marker, it is the first stinky fish of the game, put into play with It Doesn't Look Fresh. Well, we're staying over this side of the table because for Two-Face they activated Gangster 6. He had Audacity, although he would have had a free Inspire from Two-Face anyway. But either way, he moved up near Killer Moth, just outside of 4, so he could also put down a suspect marker, and you'll notice they both have a numeric value on them. That is because he played a closing argument. Be on the good side of the coin, roll 1d6, place that value on 2 friendly suspect markers that are within 4 of a sewer or a lamppost. Doesn't say it has to be different ones, so they're both by the same lamppost. Count it down after each subsequent activation. If both those suspect markers are still in play, when it hits 0, score the card, and no one is going to be able to reach those really. I don't think even if the paramilitary did decide to suicide, try and grab one of them, it's close enough for his 8-inch movement. Or is he 10? Oh, he is 10, so maybe he could if he wanted to suicide himself, we'll see. But 2 activations and then that will score. Little Gaggy was next up for the Joker's crew without Audacity, but right next to his boss on the other side of the truck there, that he had that free Inspire, because this Gaggy is a henchman. He moved up 8 inches and put down a suspect marker. He's ignoring those closing argument ones to instead put some explosive teeth into play with Bite the Dust. A 3 got rolled. Maybe it will hit Two-Face's crew, maybe it will hit Joker's. They don't care as long as it does damage. One of Two-Face's mistresses activated. It was Sugar. She moved up 10 inches over here, and you will notice that there is now an event marker there with a 4 counter on it. That's because a card has been played I don't think we've seen on the channel before. Not so much Sugar, it is her unique card. A lot of text. You put an event marker within 4 of an enemy. Gaggy was that enemy, so placed there. Then you roll a die, a d6, and that's how many activations it counts down over. At the end, when it hits 0, you roll 2 dice plus 1 for every ally within 4 of that marker, minus 1 for every enemy within 4 of that marker, and if any 2 dice results match, you score the card for 3. So there is still a bit of chance involved, but it is worth 3. And with the completion of Sugar's turn, closing argument ticks down to 0 and scores, putting them on the scoreboard. Oh, and after ticking down the exploding teeth, they moved 4 towards Sugar. 2 turns to go until they explode, and they're in base to base with her. Joker's paramilitary 2 activated, and his anger management means that if he's not going to do a shooting action, he has to take an effort to control himself, which he did, in order to move up there, put down a suspect marker, and also you can see where the teeth ended up. It moved 6 inches towards him, which might not be good. It's up there on the broken monorail now. But during his turn, as a result of putting down that suspect marker, he did score, let them in on the joke. One friendly model with the Trickster trait, which Joker gives him, places a suspect marker within 4 of an enemy model, and then both people discard a card from their hand. So he did manage to get 2, that's Joker on the scoreboard officially now, and there's 2 turns to go on the event marker. Well, following on from Sugar, it was of course Spice who activated next. She also moves 10 inches, they're both pretty fast. She moved up here to help with that event marker that's going to tick down at the end of the next activation. The teeth have moved 4 inches towards her, a bit awkwardly placed there between the rock and Spice, but they'll explode soon as well. She, as a special action, used Menace, so if anyone wants to attack her, they have to use another action of a different type as well, just to give her a little bit of protection this round. She put down a suspect marker and put into play another closing argument, and you don't have to pick the suspect marker put down to trigger the card. So she picked the 2 over here, and a 2 was rolled, so 2 more activations, and those 2 markers put down earlier in the game will score another one of these. So in order to make a few things happen, Joker's victim activated, mindless monster, stupid, etc. Can't do much. All he did was move forwards just to, 1, make this event marker harder, now that we're going to check the scoring condition for it, and also to draw the teeth towards the middle. Unfortunately, the teeth moved 4 inches towards him, so the only people hit by the explosion of the teeth were him and Gaggy for 1 blood each, but that still does score the card, so that's scored for 2. And those two being there means that for Sugar's card it just flat out becomes the straight roll of 2. But there's a little shenanigans that seems within the rules to do. But let's roll first, it might not matter if they match. They don't match, it's a 4 and a 3, but for 1 resource point, Time Bomb is being played as a resource. Immediately after you make a dice roll, change the result of 1 dice to match the other die in the same roll. So you just go like that, and all of a sudden he's met the condition. If there's a rule that says that's not allowed, by all means point it out. It seems like it's perfectly fine. Obviously you could stop this card if you had Exhaustive Planner, or like get them off the streets as a resource, etc. But that seems fine, so that does mean that not so much Sugar has scored. Second last activation for Two-Face in the first battle round was Gangster 1, the one without a hat. but also with a Tommy gun. Now he's normally movement 8, but he made use of Two-Face's Gangland or Gang Lord rule, where any gangsters, who have the gangster keyword that is, in his crew, can innervate themselves to get 2 inches of extra movement per innervation. So he innervated twice to give him enough to get him clear of the suspect marker that Spice put down in order to put down another one and meet the scoring condition for 2, make this better. Place, well, you have to be on the good side for 1, place a friendly suspect marker within 4 of an enemy model and have at least one other suspect within 4 of a different enemy model. He's within 4 of Gaggy, that one's within 4 of the Joker's victim, you've got this one over here. Speaking of which, these now count down to 0, meaning that the other closing argument scores as well. Two-Face is getting off to a fantastic start. Would love to pretend that it's because of some kind of like amazing synergies or tactics. It's just luck. It's getting the good side cards while on the good side of the coin. It's the thing about his deck that makes it bad. Most of the time it's just so luck dependent, but this time it's working in their favour. So Thug 3 activated for Joker's crew next, however. It's not just Two-Face left to go for his crew total, but the sniper up on the roof. He's got 2 left. This is the 3rd last activation for Joker's crew, the man himself. Actually 4th, because Borgon hasn't gone either. Yeah, I forgot they had a numbers advantage and Two-Face went first. Anyway, he moved up without audacity, I was going to say advantage, and then put down the suspect marker using the Inspired Manipulate from Joker being right next to him on the other side of the truck there. And it became another set of exploding teeth, and for better or worse, a 1 got rolled. So after this next activation, it's exploding, and we'll see what kind of damage it does in a minute. So because he was wanting to hold on to that advantage to take the lead for Battle Round 2, Two-Face did not want to pass. He activated and just moved down here. It's a bit of a waste of his turn, to be honest, hoping that the teeth would kind of angle off, but they moved 4 towards him, exploding approximately there, and caught Sugar and Spice for 1 damage, but that does mean that the Bite the Dust has scored for 2 because it hurt somebody. Again, doesn't matter if it's friend or foe, but it helps when it's the foes. So yeah, that's it. So it's just a sniper up on the roof for Two-Face now, but Joker's still got 3 models to pick from. So it was Punchline who activated. She's very quick with a base move of 12. She came rocketing around the corner here to within 8 of Spice. She has poison throwing knives that have the sharp roll, and in order to attack Spice, she had to use up her special action as well because of Menace that was played during Spice's turn. She did that, chucked throwing knives at her, and did very well with them. 3 more blood damage and poison 1. And Punchline is also a toxicologist, so amongst other things, if someone fails a poison roll within 8 of her, which Spice currently is, they'll take 1 additional blood damage. And that would actually be enough to kill her, I think. No, she would still have 1 health. So our sniper up on the roof here did eventually move over here. That was a result of using the good aim trait during his turn. That's why he had audacity, so that means he can move and fire, or fire and move when using an aim weapon, which is accurate anyway, but also gives him +1. So from where he was standing, he shot downfield at poor Gaggy and got him for 6 blood. So itty bitty Gaggy is dead. Didn't score anything on doing that, just removed him as a potential obstacle, and then he moved over here to get better line of sight down the field here. So it was just 2 activations left for the Joker's crew to end off the first battle round, and it was the man himself who activated. He moved forward his 8 inches next to Joker's victim there, then used his tactical and special action in order to use Joker's gun against Spice. Because he moved, it came down to just 1 die, needing a 3+ to do any damage to her. It got her for 3. She is out of there. Incidentally, if she had failed her poison roll with Punchline that close, it would have killed her. She only had 6 HP. And that does score Seasoning the Mix for removing a model as a casualty when it had poison. So Borgin the Cursed got the game ended, the battle round ended, and all he did was move up a little bit further than normal thanks to him having neurotropic drugs, stopping there, no base-to-base contact, so he doesn't get that free attack from the new role he has, the Mindless Monster. But want to cover one thing first, not a mistake, more like just a misplay. Spice has Protect Me, and we were under the impression that you selected a henchman within 4 inches, make an effort, they take the hits instead. It's actually just a friendly model, so she could have made Sugar take the wounds that Joker's gun dealt, thus saving her life. Noticed after the fact, so we're not going to retcon it because it was just a simple missed opportunity, and that can happen, but that was a tactic that definitely would have worked to keep her alive. She still could have failed her poison roll, and then died anyway in the recount phase, but that would have at least given her a chance. So that is it for the end of the first battle round. There was quite a bit of fighting, considering a lot of blood damage splattered around, very little stun. But there's no additional cards being played, so we just need to cover the cards in play. Two faces of the coin does score. There is an even number of friendly suspect markers in play, so that's another 2 points for the two-face crew. The Joker crew, the Stinky Fish, was left alone. The Gentleman Ghost put down, so that scores for 2. Psychopaths, nope, only one model died or KO'd, and there was a bunch of suspect markers put down, so that's gone. And Let's Dance is also discarded, because Punchline and Joker and Gentleman Ghost didn't take any damage from an enemy, so that's gone too. With that, we can jump into how the Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Turn 2 looks. So we're at the top of Battle Round 2, and Joker's crew has taken first activation. They won the roll handedly. There's one Phase 2 card being played. It's by Joker's crew. It is another Psychopath, and this turn I think it will have a good chance of scoring, because there's going to be a lot of bloodshed. I can feel it in my bones, and a lot less putting down suspect markers. So we can take a quick look at who has Audacity, because there's nothing else to cover. For Joker's crew, Gentleman Ghost, Punchline, the man himself, and also the Chainsaw Thug 3. For the Two-Face crew, Two-Face has it. Remember, he's reloading, so he's pretty useless this turn. Sugar, and then Killer Moth, and the guy with the Tommy gun behind the smoke there. They all have Audacity as well. So with that, let's see how things play out. So Battle Round 2 got started by Thug 3 for the Joker crew activating. He didn't do that well though. He and the gangster efforted once rather, but because he was enervated twice, it was chosen to be used, so he couldn't do more. In hindsight, he should have went all in and done all 3, but there you go. Only the strength I got through for 3 blood, and then using the free inspired manipulate from Joker, he put down a suspect marker in order to score another Let Them In on the joke. Oh, and of course forgot to mention, which is why he should put down the actual tokens, he has hardened, so he'll be converting 1 of that damage to stun. First up for Two-Face this round was Sugar, and she did eventually retreat a little bit back to that car over there, but not before firing her little derringer at Borgnum the Cursed, and without having to move or anything, it's actually quite capable of doing a lot of damage. It is double blood. So she shot it at him, and you'll notice there's a suspect marker there. That is because Heads or Tails was played as a resource. When a friendly model performs a ranged attack, place a friendly suspect in contact with the target, because we're on the good side of the coin. Incidentally, having to discard a card on Joker scoring a card screwed up the plan for Two-Face's crew, so they're scrambling to try and make something work. But she did manage to get Borgin for a massive 8 damage. He's got 10 health though, so he is alive. Let's see what he can do. So just in case he was about to get shot to death by Two-Face, Borgin the Cursed activated, and he didn't have Audacity, so he can make a free move. He can't do manipulates because he's stupid. But if he gets into base to base with the closest target, he gets a free attack. Sugar backed off. To get to Two-Face, he'd have to go around the truck, but direct route there, and he has reach on his weapon, so he doesn't actually need to be in base to base. It meant that the poor gangster with the Tommy gun here was the closest threat. Borgin efforted once, gangster efforted 3 times, did not save him from a 666 roll, so he is splatted with 6 blood on top of the 2 he had already, so very much dead. I would have killed him outright actually. No cards scored on either side for that happening, but 1 Tommy gun that didn't even get the chance to fire, gone. Two-Face activated for his crew, and he moved to where you can see him, but not before playing Kill Them Twice as a resource in order to look for the other side of the coin and put it into play. So the twisted side came into play, which matters for what he did. He moved, shot Borgin in the back, got 2 shots through for a total of 4 blood, 2 stun. Borgin is cursed indeed, because he is dead, and that scores Heads or Tails. A friendly model inflicted. Wait, he didn't have Audacity. Oh, Two-Face shot the wrong person. Two-Face was supposed to shoot him who had an Audacity marker. You know what? I don't know if we should do that over again or not. He shot the wrong person, but he killed a target that's kind of important to get rid of. No, we'll say that didn't score then. We'll put it back in hand, I mean. But yeah, he actually targeted the wrong person. The plan was, put in the twisted side, move over here, shoot and kill the one with the Audacity marker, so then that would score, because you can't just do it for doing damage. Whoops! Gentleman Ghost activated for Joker's crew next, once again activated concealment with his special action, then moved up a little bit, didn't use his full movement, next to the enemy suspect marker there, placed down one of his own, and snap for last turn, he put down yet another Stinky Fish, so he's just doing work. Don't ask where he's pulling them from. Killer Moth activated and had began his turn behind that blue van there. He made use of his grapple gun, shot all the way over here to then shoot Thug 3 in the back to do what Two-Face was meant to do, and hit him for at least 4 damage. Thankfully, the 2 hits he was left with after moving and shooting with his, whatever his normal shot is called, the one that doesn't do slow 6 or whatever, hit him twice, so it did 2 blood, 2 stun. Not enough to knock him out, kill him, anything like that, but that doesn't matter because the card that was meant to score earlier just requires 4 damage on a model with an Audacity marker, so that has scored for 2. Punchline activated for Joker's crew. She definitely should have moved in sooner because she has that 8-inch bubble from True Psychopath where if anyone dies within 8 of her, 2 markers go on Psychopath instead of 1, although at present there's no danger of it not scoring. Anyway, she moved up, didn't use her full distance, she just wanted to get roughly there, out of the line of sight of Two-Face, but well within 8 of Sugar. Incidentally, Sugar does have Charm, but Charm isn't for ranged attacks, close range only. So more throwing knives got chucked at her, and Punchline has been doing very well with her throwing knives. She got 3 blood damage through, poison as well, didn't score any cards or do anything else like that. Also can't really make use of a special action, but she's dealing damage. Gangster 6 with his Tommy gun down here activated before moving, although he did end up over there afterwards. He shot at the paramilitary, who does have a bulletproof vest, but he has high caliber, so it's not the strength eye that goes away, it's a normal one. 2 hits through, all said and done, for 4 blood, 2 stun. So then he moved over there, and he did have Audacity, so he made use, well, the verbiage in this rule is a little weird as to when you use it. He has a rule called Rapid Reload, it's a special action, and the rule reads, this model count as having reloaded its weapons with reload. Does that mean you can do it after firing in this turn, so he could fire it again next turn? Or does it mean he has to have Audacity next turn, use that first, and then fire then? Or can he do it now to skip having to do it next turn? Because he won't necessarily have Audacity next turn. It's not super clear, it needs to be cleared up. We're going to play it that he's done it, so he's reloaded. The Joker activated for his crew came round the corner and shot his gun into Sugar. It's a 50-50 chance basically, he's left with 1 die, she's defense 4, so I guess on some level Two-Face would appreciate the odds, but he got it, 3 damage with what she's hurt with before. She is out of there, taking it the exact same way as Spice did, and also scored a seasoning the mix. They both fell to the same 1-2 punch between Joker and Punchline. They work well together with the poison and then the triple blood gun, but she's out of poison throwing knives now, and that was the last of his ammo. So the sniper on the roof up here was the last activation in the turn for Two-Face because everyone else is dead. He was going to travel through the sewers, but he's got a lot of choice targets where he is, and they can't really get to him that easily. Well, one can, but he'd be passing up better opportunities. So he's just going to activate and unactivate and stay up there. And then we've got the paramilitary and the Joker's victim left for Joker's crew. The back end of this game is going to go super fast just because of how much murder there's been. Joker's victim activated and moved 8 inches into face-to-face with the closest threat when he began his turn, so he gets a free attack action. He efforted twice because that's all we can do, he's only 3 willpower. Two-Face efforted once, all said and done, he's attack 2, defense 2, so you know there wasn't much chance of doing well, but he did actually get a crit. The crit was the only die, the strength die that got through. So 1 bleed plus knockdown on Two-Face, which is better than nothing, honestly. And final activation for Joker's crew was the paramilitary. Without Audacity, not quite close enough to Joker for an Inspire, he hopped the wall and got into base to base with one of Two-Face's suspect markers there, just planning ahead for the next battle round. So with that we can go into cleanup for round 2. So at the end of a massively bloody battle round 2, no additional cards are being played, so once again we just have to cover the ones in play, and Joker's crew was the only crew that had any in play. There are other fish. The Gentleman Ghost once again put down, scores for 2. Their Psychopath card scores very easily. No suspect markers put down this turn by Two-Face's crew. 4 people died in total, 2 of which were within 8 of Punchline, so that's 6-7 markers. Either way, it definitely scored. Everyone who has stun damage has healed 1, and like I said earlier, the tail end of this game is going to go super fast because there's just so few people left and half of them are half dead. So let's go into battle round 3. So here's how things are looking at the top of the penultimate battle round, and there's only cards being played by Two-Face's crew, 2 phase 1s and 1 phase 2. So let's go through that real quick. Die Hard, seen a million times before, it is being played on Killer Moth. Speaking of which, his unique is being played, called the Moth Signal. Choose a scenery element that's within 4 inches of a friendly model and at least 8 outside of your deployment. Have at least 1 friendly model and a friendly suspect within 4 of that scenery element. The truck there is being selected for that. And then their phase 2 that's in play, and we checked at the end of the round, the Balance of Justice Twisted Side. An even number of models are removed from the game as casualties this round. Any side, so friendlies, enemies, all count towards his card. It needs to be an even amount at the end of the round. There's only 4 people left for the Two-Face's crew, so they all have Audacity. Sniper on the roof, Two-Face himself, Killer Moth, and then the other guy with the Tommy gun over there. There's 5 models left for Joker's crew. The paramilitary is the only one who hasn't been given Audacity. The other 4 here have it. The paramilitary is too far away really to make a difference to what needs to happen. Joker's crew retained priority, which is very important for them, because they need to try and stop Killer Moth becoming worth, what, 5 points this turn? Yeah. So Thug 3 got the round started because he was the best chance at getting Killer Moth hurt. Unfortunately, because of the damage he's been taking and doing to himself, he could only effort the once to throw in an extra die. Killer Moth efforted 3 times. He's a 6/6 mini, so that leaves him on 3. The strength die did get through though for 3 blood, leaving him on half health, so someone might be able to pick him off. Gentleman Ghost's got a gun. I'm not sure how it would do if he had to move and fire it, but did manage to do damage, and then using the free Inspire Manipulate from Joker, put down a suspect marker to score, I believe, the final, let them in on the joke, so at least he did something. So naturally Killer Moth had to get out of there, but not before firing. His guns have light, so you can fire them in base to base. He did so into Thug 3. 3 blood, 3 stun, all said and done. Much more than enough, thanks to the blood on him already, that he is killed. And for doing that much damage, he scored a cheeky 1 point for a quick catch a bullet. Then he moved his 8 inches around here next to the truck, and because he has a built-in radio, used that Inspire Manipulate to put down a suspect marker. So currently, he is meeting the criteria for Moth Signal, but it doesn't get checked until the end of the turn, so something might happen to stop it. Next activation for Joker's crew was Joker's Victim, and at the start of his activation, Let Them Do Their Thing was played. You reveal a friendly suspect marker, center of explosive template on it, pick a direction, move it 2d6. Anyone under a template suffers 2 stun, and if it does damage to anybody, score the card. The suspect marker on the corner there that Thug 3 placed last turn was picked. It moved 5 inches this way, exploded roughly there. 2 damage, 2 stun damage to Joker, the Joker's Victim, and Two-Face. Unfortunately, that is enough stun damage that the Joker's Victim is knocked out, so he isn't doing anything else with his turn, but he did score a card. The sniper up on the roof activated, used good aim but didn't move at all. I mean, he's quite a large gentleman, he just likes staying there. He did split his shot though. The strength die went into Joker, the regular die went into Joker's Victim. They actually both managed to hit for 3 blood each, which also means that he is removed, so that's 2 casualties in total this turn for balance of justice. But also, he could score, spice it a little, spice his unique card. A friendly model performs an attack targeting at least 2 models and inflict damage on at least one of them. Now, it does say an attack, not a ranged attack, but that presumably means any type, because it doesn't say a melee attack. That could be wrong, but that's how it's read. Joker activated and decided to back off a little bit, because Harvey is pretty handy in close combat. I don't think he can use his gun this turn, but he is handy in close combat, and Joker has been taking some damage from this source and that. So he backed off and he put down a suspect marker and made it the 3rd and final stinky fish of the game, just to put that into play. And he's setting up for something next turn as well. Two-Face activated for his crew, and his options were limited because he had to stand up. So he had like 4 inches. I gave him enough to get after Punchline, but that turned out to be not too bad a thing. He's got reinforced gloves, attack 4, she's defense 4. She opted not to effort, he went all in, and he actually did manage to get 3 punches through to her for 6 stun, which is enough that she is knocked out. Now that means he gets to use his judgment trait to see if she dies, 50-50 chance, but really don't want her to, because that will make it an uneven number of people who have died this turn. Nevertheless, she lived. Good. 50-50 chance, so she is knocked out, not getting a turn, but isn't dead. He can, however, still score on a KO. Time Bomb. A friendly model inflicts KO or removes as a casualty an enemy within 4 inches, or point blank. Place an explosive template on 2 different friendly suspects. All affected models suffer 1 blood. Then remove the explosive templates and both suspects. If you damaged any enemies, scored the card. The 2, oops, as I dropped the card, being selected are this. This one explodes, hits no one obviously. The one that matters is the one over here. This is exploding, and the paramilitary takes 1 damage, thus meeting the condition for the score. Gentleman Ghost activated, and he considered shooting his ghostly flintlock into Two-Face, but even if it did maximum damage, which is 6 blood, that wouldn't have killed Two-Face. It does some stun as well and probably would have knocked him out, but that isn't enough to throw off the balance of justice from scoring. So instead he did eventually move. He used concealment again, because why not, but he removed the Two-Face suspect marker that had been there next to the stinky fish and met the secondary condition for a so long as bin of gas. Friendly model reveals an enemy suspect marker. Choose one of your models, place a friendly suspect marker in contact with it and get enervating 2. And that has happened over here, so that's scored for 2. Taking a bit of a gamble with Two-Face's last henchman, he moved, didn't shoot, revealed the suspect marker of his own that had been there, and this is the last opportunity he could have done this. Turned it into valuable commodities because you can't play this card as an objective in turn 4. So he's holding on to it now, not guaranteed to live, but because of Punchline being unconscious now thanks to Two-Face, the last activation for the turn is the paramilitary without Audacity. And for his turn, the paramilitary just walked over here into base to base with this Two-Face suspect marker, did nothing else. So with that, we're into the scoring for the penultimate round. So at the end of battle round 3, Punchline did not wake up, rolled way too high on their wake up check. So she is staying unconscious and she's done for the game, which is really bad, although she did really well in the first 2 turns. Speaking of which, I feel like Two-Face's crew did really well, largely thanks to luck. In battle round 1, I think Joker's crew easily took a commanding lead in turn 2. Turn 3 though, I feel like it's back in Two-Face's favour, because the balance of justice scored. There was 2 casualties that turn. The moth signal scores, because of what Killer Moth is doing. There's a suspect marker over there. And Die Hard scores because Killer Moth lived. So big scores there. The only scores for Joker is, as I stretch over, the other, it doesn't look fresh. So he only covered 2 of the spread, meaning that Two-Face still gained 5 victory points on him there. But it's going to be a quick final round. Let's jump into it. Dawn of the final day, the top of the final round, and Two-Face's crew is going first. We do have a plethora of cards to cover though. We'll start with the phase 1s for both sides. Showtime! Came out for Jokers. It's his unique card. 1d3 plus 2. That counter gets put next time it goes down at every subsequent activation. That's also how many enemy suspect markers within 18 inches he can pull into range. He pulled in the last 2 on the table, so they're both right there. That's the 5 counter for it. If either one of those is still in contact with him when it ticks down to 0, that will score for 3. And, synergistically, Let's Dance came back out. So if anyone tries to attack him, he'll at least get a, I was going to say complimentary, that's not really the word I'm meaning. What's the other C word for compensation? There we go. Compensation of 2 points as opposed to 3. Phase 2, Psychopaths in play. Might score, might not, we'll see. And also for Two-Face, another balance of justice. So we'll see if an even number of people get murderized. And they still have the loot in play as well. Everybody on the table who is conscious has Audacity. So with that, let's see. So the turn got started with a bit of a Hail Mary play from the surviving gangster who is holding on to the loot. He unloaded his Tommy gun into Joker. The thought was, it's like 4 chances to do 2 blood, 1 stun. There's a good chance he'll knock him out. Probably not kill him, but knock him out. And then off of the back of that could have removed those suspect markers for being so close to him to score a card on that. And deny Joker showtime. But as it turns out, only the strength I got through. 2 blood, 1 stun isn't necessarily bad. But it does mean all he did was score Let's Dance for Joker's crew. So we're just counting that now. It's meant to be at the end of the round, but it just happened, so yeah, that has scored. So then he retreated behind the rock there because he wants to protect the loot. So now if Gentleman Ghost wants to attack him, he's going to have to come around rather than just fire his flintlock from where he is. So Gentleman Ghost did activate for Joker and decided instead to try and secure Joker's points. He fired his ghostly flintlock into Two-Face. Only 1 hit for 3 blood, 1 stun and cold, so he's -2 to his movement. He used concealment and then moved into position to kind of block Joker and also the suspect markers on. That should have counted down to 3 as well. So Two-Face kind of accepted that he's not stopping showtime, so instead tried to do something else about it. Killed him twice, played as a resource to switch back to the good side of the coin. And in doing so, he then put down his suspect marker right next to Punchline, who's knocked out but presumably still counts. To be able to score, 2 makes this better. Place a friendly suspect marker within 4 inches of an enemy model and have at least 1 other next to within 4 of another enemy model. Thanks for Joker doing that thing. That does score for 2. Oh, and I did show it on camera but didn't mention Two-Face then kind of backed off just in case Joker decides to come try and cut him or something. So for Joker's crew, the paramilitary can't get anywhere to get a line of sight to shoot anyone. He's not going to be able to do anything to score any cards. or, well, it's unlikely, let's say. Joker activated, and he just unactivated because he wants to stay next to those two suspect markers. For Two-Face's crew, he can't fire, so he can't do anything. It comes down to whether or not Killer Moth could potentially do something, and then I think we're at the end of the game. So, looking at Killer Moth's options, he's out of his regular ammo, and his other one is you can't really fire it and move, or rather move and fire because you lose too many dice. It's a single shot rate of fire, so moving would mean you have none. So he can't do anything to stop Joker, so really it just comes down to the cards in play, because neither side can play any cards, and that goes for phase 4 as well. So we're just going to cover the final phase here, and then go into the final scores. So if we come around here, valuable commodities scores, because the gangster there held on to the loot until the end of the game. Now, the balance of justice, I wasn't sure if 0 counts as an even number. Asked my Discord, and they googled it, and apparently it's an exceptionally contentious issue as to whether or not 0 is truly an even number or not, although Google's result does say that it is. I don't think it's going to matter 2 points, but we're going to say it counted, but we'll see if it counts. And that's just going by Google search. Psychopath does not score because there was no kills this turn. Oh, was there any KOs though? No, there wasn't. There almost was, but there wasn't. So, nope. And Showtime does score. I think this was a good game for both sides. I'm very curious who's won. Alright, very interested to see how this goes. Two-Face on the left, Joker on the right. Let's go for it. So that is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, 5, 6, 7, 28, 29, wow, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So 35 or 33 if that other 2 points should not score. I'll leave that to the maths people to argue, but let's call it 35 for now. Plays, also that's definitely the highest Two-Face score on the channel. Plays 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32. So it would not matter. If we discount that 2 points, it would mean that Two-Face's crew won by a single point. That is thanks to largely having an absolutely amazing turn 1 where every card they happened to draw, like they played a card, it drew into another card that was great for the good side. That's the chance that works in Two-Face's favour. It sucks when the chance just isn't in your favour. It makes it very hard to deal with where it isn't really your fault, it's just how is the deck shuffled. As my dog gets mad at someone outside, we'll wrap this up nice and quick. That was a very fun one though. That's definitely the most fun I had with the Two-Face crew in the games they've played here so far, and I think it's the best they've done as well. Joker's crew always tends to do well, and there wasn't much in it. It was a close fight and a massacre on both sides. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you very much for doing so. We'll hopefully see some new starter set stuff soon. I know I said that last time, but hopefully it's true this time. Thank you again, and ta-ta for now.